It's time for our Seen and Unseen segment, where we expose what's really behind the big cultural stories of the day. All right, we kick off today's edition with something so ridiculous that it has to be seen to believe. This is a candidate for Congress making a complete buffoon of himself in a desperate bid for votes. Here to fill us in, Fox News contributor, author of the New York Times bestselling author of the Will Wilder series, Raymond Arroyo. All right, who is this guy?
His name is Levi Tillman, and he's a Democrat from Colorado. He feels Congress has been talking over each other in regard to school safety. The Trump administration would like to arm teachers. Tillman has a different approach, and he demonstrates it.
Empower schools and teachers with non-lethal self-defense tools like this can of pepper spray. Trust me, this will stop anyone in their tracks.
It's incredibly painful, and now I just can't see anything. Wow, that's intense.
For less than $1 per person in the U.S., we can have a secured canister of pepper spray in every classroom in America.
It's just unbearable. It's like lava in your eyes.
The ad is like lava in your eyes. This man, thank God he's not a wild game advocate. He'd be setting off bear traps and bleeding all over the forest.
He looks like he was waterboarding himself. I'm like,
what is that? I mean,
at the end of it, I wanted to spray myself with pepper spray just so I didn't have to watch this
I think we should call him and produce a new show, Candidate versus the World. He could just do stunts like this, protest climate change by breathing in carbon monoxide. He could drink toilet water.
And then they say that a certain type of black spider is on the endangered species, so I'm living with them.
Here they are. But here's the big question.
Stupid.
How can you trust the judgment of a man who does
something like this? Is he a candidate?
He's a candidate, Democratic candidate for a House seat in Colorado.
Disturbing. All right, what is going on with the Bishop of Tucson?
Well, the Catholic bishops are meeting this week in Florida, and they lamented the Trump administration's new asylum rules, particularly those separating children from families entering the country illegally. Now, at one point, the Bishop of Tucson, Arizona, as you mentioned, Edward Weissenberger, seemed to morally equate those enforcing the border with people committing abortions. He's speaking here about border security that takes the part in separating families. Watch.
In light of the canonical penalties that are there for life issues, I'm simply asking the question if perhaps our Canonical Affairs Committee could give recommendations, at least to those of us who are border bishops, on the possibility of canonical penalties for Catholics who are involved in this. For the salvation of these people's souls, maybe it's time for us to look at canonical penalties.
Maybe it's time for you to read canon law.
Well, canonical
What is he talking
canonical
about?
penalties mean rescinding communion and the sacraments.
They don't do that for people. They don't do that for politicians that advocate for abortion. Thank you very much.
I got a call this afternoon from some ICE and border security guys. I said, when Nancy Pelosi, Biden, and Schwarzenegger get their letters of excommunication, then you can worry. But remember, the Catholic Catechism says those new to an adoptive country must respect the laws of the country. None of us want families divided.
No.
I think it's an awful thing. But we have to come up with policies that don't incentivize people to send their children alone across the border. That's what's happening now. But look, people of faith, Catholics, they should be advocating for family unity in their home country and here.
Yeah, do it legally, but
orderly.
If you walk across the border illegally, it's not going to work for you. All right, now what does God look like?
What does God look like?
Right,
a university,
60 seconds. What
University
does God look like?
of North Carolina did a study. 511 Americans. This is what they think God looks like.
Wait a second. That looks like one of the guys in the control room in New York. Does that look like?
It's Nick Robertson. He's basically a nice white guy. I mean, that's what they came up with.
It's too much hair for Nick.
What the researchers found is that people tend to project their image and their beliefs onto their image of God. Now, I thought, how would we define God? So I came up with my own images. These are my two picks.
How would he look like?
This is what I think God might look like. And Frank Sinatra and John Huston in The Greatest Story.
What? Frank Sinatra?
Well, I want a God that sings well. So
come on.
Now you had your picks. Who were?
My picks are Burt Lancaster and Charlton Heston, which is really good. But Charlton Heston plays Moses there.
I know,
of
but
course,
he looks like God the Father.
That's
I like
God.
that.
Yeah, that seems like God. God can't look like God can't look like the kid in the Apple commercial, like the Mac versus PC.
No, I don't
That's who the God. That's like a millennial thing, right? God has skinny jeans,
And
a
drinks
man
soy
bun,
milk.
and he's a soy boy. God's a soy boy?
No, no.
I don't think so.
We want a God with some authority and gravitas and a father. But I think we can both agree God does not look like this.
These two. George Burns.
No, they played him to great
and
acclaim.
Morgan Freeman. I never bought either of them
I
as
kind of
God.
like Morgan Freeman as God.
Well, but George
Good
Burns.
voice.
God rest
You
his
want
soul.
God to sound like
the
that.
George Burns movie was hilarious.
Yeah, but you don't want God to sound like
No, God doesn't smoke. Absolutely not.
No, I hope not. Not where I'm going. Not the God I want to see. No
No,
smoking allowed.
we know flames where we're going. We hope. Pray
Bye-bye.
for us.